Vikavolt is a powerhouse. With its base 145 special attack, nothing wants to switch in on the combination of Volt Switch, Bug Buzz, and Energy Ball. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battle. Today we're in a battle versus, I'm going to butcher your name, I'm sorry, Gazero from the Discord server in the OU tier. Now looking at their team, they've got a very offensive team. They've got the Gallade Haxorus, which stand out. Infernape could pull out some tricks, could be physical or special. Got to watch out for the competitive on that Milotic, so Sticky Webs might have to wait. And the Ribombay is probably going to be leading off to get Sticky Webs up, so I might counter lead that with Zorua. And then disguise it as something else. Or I might lead off with Vikavolt, because Vikavolt's not doing too much this game, and they haven't got a ground type, or, for that matter, other than Haxorus, a electric resist. So I think Vikavolt could do well here. And the battle begins, so Gazero's going to lead off with Ribombay, as expected. Ribombay's actually been like... It's weird, it's like been using Ubers and stuff, like, it's really good for some reason. So if we assume they're going to go for a Sticky Webs, we could counteract that with our own Sticky Webs, but they do have the Empoleon and the Milotic with the competitive ability, so I kind of don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to Volt Switch, get some damage off on the Ribombay. They go for a Stun Spore, expecting the switch, probably. Not going to work on an electric type, though, because they cannot be paralyzed anymore. They used to be able to be paralyzed back in Gen 6, I believe. But Gen 7 kind of put a stop to that. So, anyway, now that we know they haven't gone for what we thought they would go for, I'm leaning towards Ninetales to get the screens up. They don't actually have a Hazard Clearer, which is going to be great for us. So I'm going to go Ninetales now. They probably go for a Sticky Web, just last-ditch effort to, you know, get them up before they get the KO'd on the Ribombay. But, you know, let's see how this works out. So, I'm going to go straight for the Aurora Veil, because the chances are they're going to switch out into the Empoleon or something, but they don't. They stay in. Interesting. What are they going to do? Stun Spore me? Or are they going to go for the Sticky Webs? Probably the Sticky Webs. Stun Spore. Okay, so Stun Spore comes through. It's going to paralyze my Ninetales, which will probably be a pain later on down the line. That's for sure. But now that we've got that out of the way, we can probably just go for a Moonblast or a Freeze Dry. I'm leaning towards Freeze Dry just because it'll do neutral damage to the Empoleon. But then again, the Infernape could come in. So, is Moonblast better or is Freeze Dry better? I'm going to go with Moonblast as an option. I think Moonblast is an option. So they go for a Fake Tears, which is going to lower our special defense harshly. So they're setting my Ninetales up to be KO'd by a special attacker of some kind. So Ribombay goes down, which is fine by me. Absolutely fine by me. I can deal with that, no problem. Being paralyzed with low special defense, not a problem. We can deal with that. In comes the Empoleon. So Empoleon obviously walls us to the end of the earth, and it can KO us with Flash Cannon now that we've got a special defense drop, despite the Aurora Veil. So it is a tough one to switch into. I think I'm going to go with a Vikavolt switch, and then we just Volt Switch. And the idea is we want to try and get Magcargo in for something here. So let's go into Buzzalot. There we go. Nice and powerful. They go for the Flash Cannon to get the KO on the Ninetales, which makes sense. But it's not going to do a lot to Vikavolt, as we can just go straight for another Volt Switch right now and get on out of there. So let's see what they do. They withdraw the Empoleon. They don't want to take a Volt Switch or a Thunderbolt to the face. And they're going to go into the Infernape, which is a good switch. It's not going to appreciate the Volt Switch, that's for sure. But it's still going to live, probably. There we go. It does live. So the Infernape is in. We've got to deal with that now. We've got a couple of options. So we could either go into the Rillaboom, get the Grassy Terrain up ready for Magcargo, or we can go Great Tusk and get the and go for an Earthquake. Earthquake does kind of sting their team a little bit. So I'm wondering whether that's the best play or whether it's to go into the Hisuian Zoroark. I think I'll go with the Hisuian Zoroark option first. So we Hisuian Zoroark into Magcargo, Illusion into Magcargo. That way, if we go for a Flamethrower, we've obviously still, you know, can disguise ourselves as it. However, they're probably going to expect a Tera here. Go for the close combat still just to get the damage off. So I'm going to go straight for the Hyper Voice. No, is Shadow Ball better? Shadow Ball's better on this particular instance. They go for a Mach Punch to get last minute chip off on the Magcargo, and it doesn't work because we're a Zoroark. Zoroark with its tricky ways once again, disguising itself as Magcargo to take the fighting type move. You gotta love it. You've gotta love it. So the Infernape does go down. To be fair, if it was me, I'd probably be thinking, why on earth did they bring a Magcargo in against a Infernape? That's just doesn't make sense. But, you know, in the moment, you don't think that. So, in comes Haxorus. This thing is powerful. It's probably going to go for a Dragon Dance here. We definitely don't want to be on the brunt end of that Dragon Dance. So, I am going to go for a Shadow Ball because I know they're going to go for that Dragon Dance if they can live this. Which they do. go for a crunch, and take us out. I didn't even know it was a crit. It didn't matter, though, because Zorua is extremely frail. I didn't even know Haxorus had crunch. That's cool, that is. So crunch comes through. They knew we were the Zorua for sure. So let's see how this works out. So they actually got to pop an item. What have they got? Leftovers. Leftovers on the Haxorus. Interesting turn of events. So the Aurora Veil is up. Is it time? That's the real question. Is it time? It might be time. We could just go Rillaboom. You know, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Let's get Gary in real quick. So Gary the Snail is in. We are gonna go for that Terra Grass Shell Smash just in case the EQ. I think that's probably the best thing to do. I think Magcargo can probably finish off the rest of the team now. I hope. I really hope and pray. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let us go for it. Magcargo is going to Terastallize into a Grass type. And hopefully it can put in some work this game. Because if it can put work in this game, that's going to be great. That's the point of the team. The whole team's made around Magcargo being good. So they go for an Outrage, which, granted, they get a critical hit. So Magcargo ain't doing nothing this game. That was probably the most anticlimactic thing I've ever done. I wasted my Terra. And because Aurora Veil's up, and Magcargo's got a good defense, I was hoping we would live that pretty well. But the crit just completely undermined that. Oh no. So we've got a couple of options here. I think Rillaboom finishes off the team pretty well. So I'm going to go Rillaboom. Go for that Grassy Glide in the grassy terrain. So priority. Right. This Haxorus has just put me in a bad situation. Where I you know what? That is just really unfortunate for Magcargo that he got crit outrage there. Because we would have got a Shell Smash off, a weak armor boost, and we would have outsped and KO'd the rest of their team. But, you know, it is whatever. Crits are crits. So we go for a Grassy Glide. Take out the Haxorus, which is great. Haxorus being out of the way is fantastic. I can't believe the crit, man. And Magcargo was so close. We had the Aurora Veil up. We were going to Terra Grass, get the weak armor. In comes the Empoleon. So Empoleon is a threat. Empoleon is very much a threat. We don't want to stay in against that thing. I think our best bet is just probably go Vikavolt. Vikavolt could definitely do that. Because it... I'm still mad. I'm still mad. Anyway, Buzzalot's going to come in. To be fair, from full, Empoleon might have lived a hit from Magcargo anyway. I'm not going to lie. If we had the grassy terrain up before we Shell Smashed, we could have Terra Grassed it in the grassy terrain, but let's go for a Volt Switch and get on out of here and do some damage to this Empoleon because we're not getting outsped. Sorry, I mean, we're not going to outspeed. That's what I meant to say. They go for a Flash Cannon to get some chip damage off. Do they not have a water move? Maybe not, but they go for a Volt Switch. Does half to the Empoleon. Yeah, I'm looking at that damage that the Volt Switch just did from a Vikavolt, and I'm thinking probably not going to have KO'd that thing with Magcargo. So it's not the end of the world then. Pretty much not the end of the world. So we'll go back into Rillaboom now. We'll hit this thing on the physical side where it's more weak. There we go. Grassy Glide's going to come through for us right now. This is where the Grassy Glide comes through. So let's go for the Grassy Glide real quick and get some damage off on this thing. Hopefully get KOs. It does, because we're Choice Banded. And down goes the Empoleon. Now we just have the Milotic and the Gallade to KO. And they are going to be tough ones to crack, because Milotic is quite bulky, and Gallade, well, Gallade's an interesting one. So Milotic comes in. They still haven't Terra'd, which is something to watch out for. I'm going to hard switch back into Vikavolt just in case this Milotic Terra's on me. And then we'll try and deal with it from there. So we'll withdraw our Cadburys. And also the grassy terrain is going to disappear any second now. So we'll go into Buzzalot real quick. There we go. They do go for a Coil. A Coil Milotic. Interesting. Haven't seen that one. But that is pretty much going to ruin us. Huh. They have to go for an attacking move. And the Flame Orb with Marvel Scale probably. That's bulky. That's gonna, the Grassy Glide's gonna bounce off that. Let's go for the Volt Switch, do some damage. They go for an Ice Beam after a Coil. Doesn't quite get the KO as we go for a Volt Switch now, and this should do a lot of damage. It just, whoa, there's the crit. That's what you get for critting my Magcargo. That's what you get for critting my Magcargo. You get a crit Volt Switch on you from a Vikavolt. I'll tell you what, Vikavolt's putting in the absolute work today. Vikavolt is putting in the absolute work. It's KO'd quite a few Pokemon. So that's not bad. That is really good. So let's go into the Rillaboom, get that grassy terrain up, and I'm hoping Rillaboom is able to KO this Gallade now. Let's just find out whether that is exactly what happens. Gallade comes in. And we are terrified because this thing could easily live a Grassy Glide and go for a Psycho Cut or a Sacred Sword or something along those lines and get the KO with Sharpness as its ability. Let's go for it and see. So they are going to Terastallize. What type are they going to go into? Pure Fighting maybe? Or Pure Psychic to get the extra damage on the Sacred Sword / Psycho Cut? They go Flying. They go Flying. Gallade could pull this back. Gallade could very well pull this back. So we go for a Grassy Glide. It's not going to do much. Does nearly half, actually. Never mind. Psycho Cut comes through, and it's going to do half. But we do get the recovery from the grassy terrain, as they do not anymore because they are a flying type. I remember that levitating flying types aren't affected by terrain. Leave me alone. Anyway, let's go for a Grassy Glide once again, just to get some chip damage off on it, as it lives barely, and is able to go for another Psycho Cut to pretty much take out Rillaboom. So Rillaboom goes down. This is all going to come down to whether Great Tusk can take a... Oh no, we've got Ninetales. Yeah, we'll go Ninetales. We'll go Ninetales. Ninetales can handle this, no problem. So the only way they can pretty much beat us is if the Psycho Cut is enough to KO the Great Tusk, which I don't think it will be. Or... And they have to get fully paralyzed on the Ninetales. That's pretty much what they have to do. So we'll go for a Freeze Dry. They go for a Sacred Sword, which does ignore defense boosts, like, for example, from Hail. But it's not enough to KO, as we're able to get the KO on the Gallade with the Ninetales. So GG Gazera, that was a pretty fun game. There's hacks on either side. Those crits both mattered. Both those crits mattered heavily. Heavily. But it was a fun game nonetheless, and I'm glad that the Pokemon that did well, did well. But anyway, if you want to try the team out, use the code at the top right corner of the screen. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, of course, leave a like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. And with that being said, I'll see you all in a bit.